Hello, the people who decide to click on this video for some reason. This is part 2 of my ongoing critique of Disney Pixar's Lightyear. As you can tell, this video is substantially longer than the previous one, which is probably why it took a little bit longer than I expected to, finish and post it. Hopefully next turnaround time will be shorter, but given my previous track record on things in general in my life, that's probably not going to happen. But it will happen eventually. Anyway, so, in case you haven't noticed, oh, who am I kidding, you didn't notice. The first video, I literally just used PNGs in my editing software, and I switched between different PNG layers to switch the mouth shapes and the everything shapes. But now, I've imported those images into 3D! So, I guess it allows me to be a bit more flexible with, animations and effects now. Because it's in 3D! You wouldn't have been able to know. You wouldn't have noticed if I didn't explicitly tell you that, so I feel like that's an accomplishment on my part. But anyway, the fact that I keep opening and closing my character's mouth when I talk, that's one of the reasons it took so long to edit this video. I'm seriously regretting giving my character a mouth. That video, previous part, did a bit better than I expected. So thank you for the, as of this recording, 100 views, and 7 likes, and 6 subscribers. I'm pretty sure every one of my subscribers, as of the recording, is someone I actually knew and sent this video to. Like, someone I knew in person. So it's not that much of an accomplishment, but still, thanks. And I guess this is the point where my mom tells me that, hey, you have to ask people to like, comment, and subscribe or else they won't do it. So I guess I'm asking you to do that or something. For engagement. Anyway, so, hopefully the entirety of this series covering this movie will be done by the end of the year. There may or may not be other shorter, smaller projects that come out intermittently between parts. No promises, but some of those things might be like quick reviews on other things and or some Blender showcase stuff. And of course, this is the point in the series where we're going to have to start addressing the elephants in the room. So, I would ask anyone that if they do comment, to please keep everything a bit civil and respectful, because if we're going to have discussions, then let's not turn it into a screaming left versus right mudslinging fight. Like, let's try to avoid that. Also, I'd prefer if we'd keep language to a minimum, as I'd like this to be a Christian channel, but anyway. Enough with the preamble. Enjoy the video! 1 whole year has passed and the crew have managed to get the ship upright and repaired it in a quick montage. And they've built a ridiculous amount of large structures. I don't think they had built any factories, but maybe they did. It's just I find it highly unlikely that all of this fit inside that ship. Don't get me wrong, the turnip is big, but it isn't that big. But then Buzz says that the team used the planet's resources to build everything. Incredible. Are we just gonna gloss over this? Now for something you may not have noticed, if you've watched the film before. The planet they are on is tide-locked. I'm copying Wikipedia, please give me grace. A phenomenon where our orbiting object always faces the object it's orbiting in the same direction. So the planet has a fixed light and dark side. Do you see the problem yet? Yep. During the time lapse showing the ship being brought back upright, there's a day-night cycle in the background. Oops! It's almost as if this shot was disconnected from the movie's production somehow.
You want to talk a little bit about this time-lapse shot?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. That was a last-minute request, and there was one shot that was kind of a nice view of the base, and then Travis Hathaway Animation took that idea and really artfully sculpted it into what we have now, and we got Martin Sen with clouds in there. I mean, everything just came together, and everyone was very relieved that it worked out so well, and it was not as painful as it could have been.
Wow. Buzz suits up and begins the journey to his shuttle, and all is well. Wait. Why are there people outside cheering him on? Like, he's the guy who got you all stuck here. You're clapping for him. Like, you might not ever get back to Earth. At least I assume that's what their home is. Or see your families again because of this doofus. And you're clapping for him. Yes, he's trying to fix this mistake, but all these guys who are presumably the scientists working on the crystal should know that his chances of success are slim. Because the writers say so. They should all be throwing tomatoes and other crap at him while booing. You know, to make us sympathize with Buzz or something? It's like none of them actually care about getting back. So, doesn't that mean Buzz's mission has no stakes if he's trying to get them out of a decent situation? Like, what? No! 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 I did not just see that! Hey, Mr. Hexbug, just fly a couple feet higher, then you'll be fine! You want those humans so bad? Just do that! No, okay. I'm struggling to decide whether or not the settlers are stupid for thinking that high of a fence would keep them out, or if it's the bugs for not flying a couple feet up. And it's not like this is a moth to a flame scenario. It's just dumb. Anyway, where were we? Oh, right, getting to the shuttle.
Ready, Captain Lightyear?
Ready as I'll ever be, Commander Hawthorne.
To infinity?
And beyond.
There comes a time in all forms of media consumption where you are so utterly bewildered by an event taking place that there are so many things wrong with it that you don't have words and you simply laugh.
Okay, we have to start somewhere. In the establishing shot at timestamp 10 minutes and 6 seconds, the ground is completely clear. There are no vines. Then the shots of Alicia and Buzz doing the worst version of the Big Hero 6 fist bump. There are no vines. Where did that vine come from? You know what? Let's just accept this for the point of argument. The hole in the vine were always there. Why did none of the various personnel notice this vine slowly coming out of the ground and slither its way towards Buzz? Especially when this is a thing that routinely happens here. But no! They don't notice it when it starts wrapping its way around him, but only when he's being dragged away. Do these people have the attention spans of millennials? Don't answer that.
We've got a breach in the perimeter.
Really? You don't seem to be that urgent about it. One of your commanding officers, allegedly, is being dragged to his potential death, and your reaction is, oh no, not Buzz. The vine then pulls Buzz and drags him across the ground. It slowly drags Buzz toward the hole it came from, presumably to eat him. And then the vine is cut, and he is saved. Okay, I think we're done with the stupid... Wait, is that Alicia? But she was... Rewind. So Alicia gives Buzz the finger touch. Watches as the vines slowly wrap themselves around Buzz and drag him off with zero reaction, I might add. Boy, you can really tell she cares about him. Then in the next shot, she's gone. Where did she go? And then in the next shot, she's still gone. Then the next shot has the camera point directly at where Alicia should be, and she's still disappeared. Then she teleports in front of Buzz to cut the vine and save him. How did she get there? How did she outrun the vines? Well, okay, to be fair, they are extremely slow, but still. How did she get there? Even though the fastest way to get there at time would mean she would have to run in the camera's path. Why did no one in continuity pick this up? Was this teleporting done on purpose? Am I losing my mind?
Captain Lightyear!
Herman Diaz.
Boy, the vines are a little feisty today, huh?
Understatement of the century. Hey, movie, are you seriously telling me they've been here for over a year and they haven't found a way of preventing these things from dragging people to their deaths? And you cannot seriously tell me no one has died because of those things. But then again, that is what is implied by their jovial attitude towards them.
A year of work for a 4-minute flight. Isn't that something?
Personally, I think that's amazing, given the circumstances.
Well, let's go find out if this new hyperspeed fuel is stable, so I can get us off this rock.
Now, apparently, they do not know the formula to make new hyperspeed crystals. You're telling me none of the hundreds of scientists with you know how to make more fuel? That seems like a disastrous oversight, given Star Command's stupid protocols I covered in the prologue. But maybe they do know how to make the fuel, they just don't have the materials for it. Oh boy, we're gonna get there. But that really doesn't fix the problem, as the question still is, why didn't you pack extra fuel? This guy then gives Buzz his autopilot module. Remember this. And now we get our frequent reminder that Buzz hates autopilots. I sure hope this detail is actually important somehow. Oh, so you did have ships that could have been used as recon vessels.
So this is the fuel that's gonna reach hyperspeed.
I wish.
Good luck, Captain. We're all counting on you!
Herman?
Now, I'm gonna put this here because it won't fit anywhere else. Why are the vines stupid now? Why tear a hole in a random location, then go a bit away and drag off a random person when you could just tear a hole right under someone and have them fall through, then drag them through the caverns instantly? You know, like what they did to Mr. Feathers in the prologue. You remember that, right? And that would have worked if he didn't just, like, somehow survive that. Like, how did he do that? Oh, let me guess. He escaped. That's specific. Yes, the ground here is metal. But the ground that Buzz was on wasn't. So, even then, the Vine strategy is just whole new levels of stupid. So Buzz doesn't react to Diaz being dragged off to his death. These are, allegedly, carnivorous plants. For all you know, he's dead. Why does no one take this threat seriously? Why is this treated as a joke?
I'm gonna grant you 4 minutes to be off planet, but then you come right back to us. That's an order.
Roger that.
Please remember this.
Ivan, pull up the flight plan, please. Autopilots.
Why does the autopilot module work on NES cartridge logic?
Increasing speed to 0.6C.
Is 0.6C the maximum speed? So he shifts the slider to the maximum when he goes to 0.6C. So is 0.6C the maximum speed? I'm pretty sure it's not supposed to be. Like, wouldn't this thing work as a how many % slider? Did the people animating this just not think? That's probably the answer. That sun looks kind of small. Oh no! One of the engines blew! This is terrible! So, the fuel they made was unstable. I guess all the scientists really did forget how to make the crystals, for some reason. So Buzz is now going off course and will miss the angle he needs to re-enter the planet's atmosphere. Now, the Ivan voice, whatever the acronym means, I don't care anymore, says the failure to course correct will result in flying into deep space and certain death. So it says ejecting from the ship is his only option. So, he only has 26 seconds to course correct. Buzz uses his pen that he has for reasons to plagiarize the work of Angus McLean's dad in order to calculate some physics, because his galaxy brain plan is to eject the fuel and use the explosion, which would cause the ship to redirect back on course into those flying ring things. He has the autopilot open the fuel door on his voice command, but then he has to manually press the fuel cell eject button. Sure, fine, okay. So, what happens next? After all, this is a highly volatile fuel source capable of near light speeds that, when trying to create, is almost equivalent to trying to lasso the sun. He should probably be dead in one more second. You know, atomized ashes. Oh, look at the huge explosion. Ooh. What happened to crystallic fusion? Being highly unstable. This movie, I'm telling you. I would also like to mention that Ivan is programmed to not talk over Buzz.
You now.
Stop counting, please.
I'm sorry.
It's not important, I just thought it was funny. Oh, by the way, those 26 seconds he had, guess how much they last? 57 seconds. Almost an entire minute. That's not how time works. I'm going to be saying that a lot. And he hits the ring successfully. Whoop-de-doo. Wait, they have resources to build giant rings and send them into space? So he lands back on the planet and... Ugh. This joke is wearing a bit thin now, don't you think? What? How? You weren't... Why does everyone keep teleporting? And it's not even acknowledging the fact that the vine came out of the runway strip. I guess the vines can punch through solid road now. How has no one died from these? Deep breaths. Deep breaths.
Diaz, you grew a beard.
First off, welcome back.
Wait, what is this? How long was I gone?
4 years, 2 months, and 3 days.
What? What happened?
Hey, look, it's Alicia. Why does she have less? So the droid then gives an explanation as to how time dilation works. The faster you fly, the further into the future you travel. Very simple rule, easy to understand. Can't wait to see how they contradict that. But, Buzz, how did you not know this? Like, you're telling me that Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, famous Space Ranger, went through all of his training at the Academy and never learned about time dilation. You know, that real thing that real scientists theorize about constantly in the real world, in real scientific circles. That is directly related to his line of work, and he didn't learn it at the Academy. That's not stupid at all. Like, and then also, we have no indication to believe that hyperspace technology is in any way new. So, he really should know this? Alicia should know this? All the scientists and engineers who spent a year on this planet trying to set up this very mission should have known this. And yet, no one ever thought that this very scenario could be a possibility. I guess the scientists, in addition to forgetting how to make the fuel, also forgot how the fuel inherently works. Why is everyone here so astronomically stupid? Is the script like this just to introduce the concept to the audience and not because it makes sense in universe? That's probably the answer.
I think we should hold off on any more test flights until we figure out something else.
If only there was some kind of device one could use to fly a ship without a pilot. Therefore, getting rid of the whole Buzz skipping years of his life thing. Some sort of device, maybe like I think it might be called an Stooopid. But unfortunately, there is no such thing. Wait a minute. You could have just had the ship go on the test flight with the autopilot. Even if we accept they had no clue about time dilation somehow, you all knew there was still a chance the fuel was unstable, which ended up being true, I might add. Did you want Buzz to potentially die for no reason? Alicia's such a good person, by the way. Why didn't you use the autopilot? You literally went out of your way to hand him one. Why did you... Maybe you deserve to be stuck here.
Commander, we said finish the mission. That's what Space Rangers do.
Are you willing to lose another 4 years?
Just use the autopilot.
So everyone's just stuck here because of me.
Yes. Yes, they are, Buzz.
Wait, what's that?
Oh, I got engaged.
Oh, wow. That's great. What's her name?
For those asking, yes, I'll get to this later. So let's just put a pin in it and move on, or else I'll derail this video's pacing.
Kiko. She's one of the science crew. It's funny, I never would have met her if we hadn't been stranded.
Well, you were both on the same ship going to do something. Look, I don't know.
You got engaged to someone you just met?
Buzz, are you trying to be brain dead on purpose? Please stop. It's not funny. Yes, I know it's because he isn't used to the time jump, but you'd think that fact would have been hammered into his skull enough times by this point.
Well, congratulations. I'd love to meet you.
Not enough, apparently.
Well, there's plenty of time for that. Get some rest. That's an order.
Somehow, this is the best scene in the movie. Or more accurately, the scene with the least amount of stupid things. Go figure!
Huh?
Ooh! A present from Alicia!
Hello, Buzz.
Thanks, I hate it already. This is Socks, Buzz's new Roco companion, i.e. his therapy robot. Purely manufactured to be a therapy machine with no unnecessary bloat.
Sensors indicate you've missed 4 birthdays. Would you like a frosted snack cake to celebrate?
Negative. That would compromise my nutritional regimen.
So, Buzz grabs this thing to eat, takes one bite, and leaves it on the counter. And immediately goes to bed. So, this is that thing where you tell someone one thing while doing the exact opposite. Like, so blatantly that it had to have been a joke. He tells us he has a strict dietary regimen. Then after a taxing space mission, refuses to eat more than one bite of the food he went out of his way to prepare, and then go to bed. But the film doesn't acknowledge this at all, so it's just dumb writing. By the way, is the reason why he only takes one bite of the food because they only had the budget to animate him eating one bite? Which, in that case, don't bother showing him eat anything if you can't do it properly, or just don't have him eat the one bite right after he said he has a strict dietary regimen, or more accurately, just don't make this entire movie. That would have been better.
We can talk about your feelings.
No, look. I've had a very long day. It did not go as planned.
The mission was unsuccessful? Oh no, I am so sorry to hear that.
Thank you, Socks.
Well, clearly this is the setup for a wonderful character relationship here. It'd be a shame if they didn't use it for anything. Yeah.
Got the Lightyear. Do you need my help?
No, I can do it!
Are you sure?
I'm afraid it's protocol.
Angus, why are you doing this to me? I just wanted to see a cool Buzz Lightyear movie, not a series of stupid things. Okay, from the top. Stupid thing number 1. Alicia has her new, modern, hip haircut, even though it wouldn't make sense for Buzz to deliberately picture her like that. She, for all intents and purposes, got that haircut yesterday. I guess Buzz is really quick to accept change or something corny like that. Stupid thing number 2. Socks Ranger. Just... why? Stupid thing number 3. This is the inciting incident for everything that happens next. Without that nightmare, the entire rest of the movie doesn't happen. And I find that more hilarious than the dream itself.
Sensors indicate you had a nightmare. Would you like to talk about it?
Negative.
My mission is to help you, and I'm not giving up on my mission.
Yeah? You know what, Socks? I'm not giving up on my mission.
And what is that mission exactly? Yeah, I know. Get everyone off the planet. But what about the original mission? I feel like we're muddling and forgetting things. Like, it's been a whole 5 years. Shouldn't you be a bit concerned about whatever that was you were supposed to be doing? Like, was it time sensitive? Did you fail them? Is it still a thing you can complete? Do you need to get back there? I would love if things would actually be explained, but I guess I'm asking too much. And in case anyone complains I'm getting too stuck on one detail, I would like you to remember this is the reason everything happens and it's never explained.
So what can I do?
Well, why don't you engage with your mouse, buddy?
Is there anything more challenging?
You want a challenge? Okay. I guess you could work on this fuel stability thing.
Buzz, he's a therapy robot. This is out of his league.
Crystallic fusion. Of course. When should I expect you back?
But he's a therapy robot. Sure, fine. I guess he can try to do that.
About 4 years.
Yeah, Buzz. I don't think they're gonna let you go through with that.
You don't have to do this.
Oh. He's already suited up. And has the fuel in his hand. And is all ready to go. And you've only begun to protest now, Alicia. You're his commanding officer. You don't... you're his commanding officer. You could say no. You don't have to let him go through with this if you don't want him to. Like, this entire thing. He can only go into space if you say okay. Just don't say okay. Just tell him no. That's all you have to do. I thought you didn't want him to go through with any more flights because it's too dangerous and you don't want him to lose years of his life. But as soon as he says, yes, I want to do more missions, like, does your opinion just not matter? Are you just subservient to your friend here? What is this movie trying to say?
Think about what? Come on, we're space rangers. We finish the mission.
We are 20 minutes in this Buzz Lightyear movie. Yes, we're only 20 minutes in the movie, and we're like an hour in at this point of the actual video. It's gonna get a lot worse. We're 20 minutes in, and this Buzz Lightyear movie hasn't even bothered to answer the simplest of questions, such as, what does a space ranger actually do? Because I have no clue. I guess they're military police that go in space? I don't know. This movie has serious first draft energy, which would be fine if this was the first draft and not, you know, the final product.
Well, it would be nice to wear the suit again. People are starting to forget Space Rangers ever mattered.
What? It's only been 5 years, love. I get that education systems are crap, but they can't possibly be that bad here. Especially because it's only been 5 years. Everyone on this planet knows what Space Rangers are, you dunce. Heck, they probably know more about them than I do. Because this movie still hasn't told me, what does a Space Ranger actually do? Who wrote this?
To infinity?
And beyond.
So Buzz slingshots around the sun again, and the fuel fails again, but it doesn't blow up the engine this time. For reasons. So he comes back to Alicia's office. She's pregnant. How did that happen? I guess I'm just not supposed to think about and call it stunning and brave. Hi, editor edif here again. So, let's talk about death of the author. Trust me, we're going somewhere. The authorial intent behind Alicia's character is quite obvious. She's supposed to be the bestest and inspirational. You know, that trait that Buzz was supposed to have. She is supposed to be Buzz's best friend. And she is supposed to be the reason Buzz does literally anything. I'm saying supposed to a lot, because none of it actually comes across in the film. Sure, you can figure this out if you don't think, but as soon as you start thinking, the more cracks you'll begin to notice. For instance, Alicia brought the rookie out of stasis and made him tag along without the knowledge or consultation of her fellow Space Ranger, and then proceeded to abandon him as soon as he got out of sight and was going to leave Mr. Feathers to die on this planet. That's literally what was going to happen, and the only reason why it didn't happen is because... Look, I still don't know how he got away, and I'm running out of jokes to make about it. This is death of the author in action. It does not matter what your authorial intent with this character was, Angus. People are going to think not nice things about her if you write her being okay with the idea of leaving an inexperienced subordinate to die without hesitation or acknowledgement. It does not matter what your authorial intent with this character was when you wrote her being vocal about Buzz not throwing his life away, only for her to say and do nothing when Buzz follows through on throwing his life away anyway. Multiple times, but we'll get there. People are not going to think very highly of her if you write her like that, are they? They're probably going to think she's spineless. So, I was planning on talking about this debacle at the very end of the series because I really don't want to talk about politics or culture war issues right now. But this one shot is emblematic of the writing issues that plague this film, regardless of politics. So, I kind of have to talk about it. Because of real-world subject matter, I will attempt to put away my hyperbolic persona for a bit and be as delicate as possible. So, I asked, what was the authorial intent here? How did Alicia get pregnant when she's a married lesbian? Now, yes, the authorial intent is most likely IVF or artificial insemination, but I'm going to rule out that first one because this is a shipwreck colony, and I find it unlikely that one of the things they just happened to be carrying with them was IVF equipment. Though, I might change my mind if I knew what the freaking... But here's the thing. The thing that somehow no one thought about when making this decision. They are in the military, and she's everyone's commanding officer. Now, I'm not saying she 100% abused her position of power, but you can't disprove that claim either. That's the potential problem you always have when you leave things vague. Now, do I want an explanation of how Kid was conceived in an animated film ostensibly for kids? Probably not. But that doesn't erase the problem, because now we have a Pandora's box. Well, actually, it's more Schrodinger's cat than it is Pandora's box. In the story, that could potentially and unintentionally make one of your characters a genuinely awful person, guilty of misconduct. Is the fact she's pregnant completely innocuous, or is it sinister? I don't know, and neither do you because there is no answer. This is the ultimate writing oopsie, because a character the audience is supposedly supposed to like may or may not be a corrupt person now. Like, what conclusion was the audience automatically supposed to come to when they saw this? So of course this is the easiest problem in the film to solve. Just have the kid be adopted. Like, seriously, that solves every problem I've just rambled about. Except leaving the rookie for dead and the not stopping buzz bits, but you get my point. Instead of everyone questioning how she got pregnant, a question with many viable answers, some worse than others, instead, everyone will like her more for taking in a child who lost their parents. Because generally people think more highly of someone when they adopt children. Or alternatively, you could just not have her be the commanding officer, and that solves the potential power dynamic issue. I think we should talk about Kiko now. She's part of the science crew, and then she marries the commanding officer. I really don't want to ask whether or not this relationship is another potential abusive authority scenario, but the movie does literally nothing to dissuade such theories. It also doesn't help that Kiko has 0 lines, meaning we never do get to hear her side of the story, or her side and opinions on anything at all. I don't want to have to speculate about these kinds of things because it just isn't fun, and not just because of politics. I don't want to have to speculate about these kinds of things. But I feel like this is a microcosm of how badly written this film is. Seriously, guys at Pixar, you can do better than this. Honestly, it feels like one of those scenarios where someone at production shouted, "Diversity!" and literally no more thought was put into it. Which would be ironic. You'd think you'd put loads of thought into something if you're so passionate about it. Like, you'd have to really not give a flying fig about diversity to write a scenario that makes your representative characters look awful. Like, I thought being progressive meant disproving negative stereotypes about members of the LGBT community, but apparently they don't actually care enough to do the thing that they're so passionate about correctly. Hollywood, I'm telling you. Anyway, back to Past Me. I'm sorry. His reaction to this is just golden. And he immediately goes back to space. Then he's back in the Hemet with Alicia. That's right. I know what a Hemet is. So that mission was a failure too. I'm sensing a pattern. Alicia opens the door to her apartment where we see her wife and son. And Buzz just smiles. Hey, this is your perfect time to meet up and talk with them. You said you wanted to do that 8 years ago. Now's your perfect chance. Or you could just go to sleep. That works too, I guess. And then the next day, he gets started on another test mission. Sure, why not? More vines? Come on! And he's in space again. Don't you realize your time is precious? And the fuel didn't work again. You know what they say, doing the same thing over and over again expecting different results is the definition of sanity. Wait, no. Yes, computer. He is a failure. Nice to see we agree. And Alicia has gray hair now. And oh, look. Their son is graduating. I guess you guys do have an education system here, but how does that work? You're basically like in the wilderness. You have organized education even if you're cut off from the rest of the galaxy. I guess you're really committed to staying here despite continuing to try to figure out how these test flights work, which is odd. And Buzz is in space again. And Alicia is super old now. Buzz, please stop. You are literally wasting time.
Stop it. Get some help.
And we have a joke about Alicia getting worse at driving. Boy, I love me some total whiplash. Alicia then comes home to her 40th anniversary party. And her son has a wife now, I guess. And this is the thing that was allegedly cut from the movie, but was slapped back in, also allegedly, due to a certain political controversy, oh boy. And was the thing they decided the entire late game marketing campaign should orbit around. Yes, this is Disney's first gay character. You know, the 15th one. I've lost track. However, as a result, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Lebanon, Indonesia, Malaysia, Kuwait, Egypt, and China, i.e. the places where backwards dinosaurs live, all banned the movie because Disney refused to cut it out for overseas markets. In contrast to their previous gay characters, gee, how upstanding and progressive of them. So, how did that work out, Disney? Oof. That's a pretty big oof. Side note, studios usually spend a lot of money on marketing, so a movie has to make about double its budget to break even most of the time. Anyway, I have more to say about this topic and the discussion around it, but it will have to wait a while because, again, let's not get off track here. So Buzz goes into space again. Oh, and yet another ride into space. We're going through this quickly. And an empty office. Oh no! What could have possibly happened? The suspense is killing me. So he finds a hologram recording and then he plays it.
Hi, Buzz. You'll be back here in a year or two, and I won't. I don't know when it happened, but I seem to have gone and gotten very old. I always thought we'd get to be space rangers again. I miss being out among the stars, all the adventures. But more than any of that, I missed you.
There are so many things wrong happening right now. So, let's just start from the top.
Hi, Grandma.
Or that can wait, I guess.
Hey, sweetheart. heart. I'm leaving a message for my friend Buzz.
The Space Ranger?
That's right. He's in space right now. This is my granddaughter, Izzy.
I'm gonna be a Space Ranger too.
Just like him?
Just like you.
Goodbye, Buzz. I'm sorry I won't be there to see you finish the mission to infinity
and beyond.
Am I supposed to feel sad? I think I'm supposed to be sad. It's not working though. First, tonal whiplash. We get this peppy montage with a she's getting worse at driving joke, and then suddenly one of the characters is dead. I mean, this can work, but the only way you're gonna do that is if, you know, if you're competent. The "a girl worth fighting for" tone ship only works in Mulan because the scene and the movie it's in are well written. Unlike this dumpster fire. Like, in Mulan, the scene transition is sudden and unexpected, but makes total sense from the story's perspective. We go from soldiers trying to cheer themselves up with the song, and then everyone gets a sudden reminder of the horrors of war. But Alicia dying isn't like that at all. It's just a thing that happens, and that's not unexpected. The audience is being actively made familiar with how the mechanics of time dilation works. And we all know what happens when we age. So this shouldn't have been a surprise to Buzz either. It was like completely inevitable and easily foreseeable. How is this a shocking plot twist? Like, as soon as we're introduced to the concept and we decide that Buzz is just going to keep trying over and over again, even though there's no breakthroughs in the formula that would dictate him needing to do another test. Like, as soon as that premise is set up, it's almost a foregone conclusion that this is the exact sequence of events that's going to happen. So I'm supposed to feel sad because a character I know nothing about just died. No, seriously. What do we know about her objectively? Who is Alicia Hawthorne? Well, she is a space ranger, is high-ranking, she's friends with Buzz, she's gay, she's a jerk toward him in the prologue for no reason, she's in sync enough to be Buzz's equal in battle, no matter how dumb that battle was, is callous with the lies of her inexperienced subordinates. She put a dart blower in socks in case Buzz got out of line without his knowledge or consent. She raised a kid successfully, I presume. I don't know that much about her son either. Like a name. Or anything. And then there's the stuff that the movie doesn't acknowledge as her being technically responsible for, such as all the procedural failings that keep sprouting in her head. Not using the autopilot on the test flights. Forgetting / not informing Buzz of the potential for time dilation. The stupid fence design that should not be able to keep the bugs out. Not putting in protocols to deal with those dang vines after 13 years. Yes, I was keeping track. She was probably one of the people who thought it was a bright idea to place the hyperdrive thingy close to the hole for no reason. Probably also made the decision on whether or not to give the landing skids shielding. And she didn't stop Buzz when he decided to take this detour for no reason. Or when he decided to throw 4 years of his life over and over again, even though she was his commanding officer and she could literally say no and he would not be able to do anything. Also, she didn't even invite him during her son's graduation or her anniversary party. She literally could have stopped Buzz at any point. Again, you're the one in charge. You don't have to let him do this, but she just lets him go into space again. I don't know where you come from, but where I'm from, when your friend needs help, you help them, even if it requires you to give them some better medicine. But Alicia doesn't even bother to temper Buzz's self-destructive behaviors. All she does is give him socks. I mean, that's better than nothing, but Buzz doesn't even really end up using him until after she's dead. At this point, he's just ignoring it and continues this stupid routine. After that nightmare, he just ignores the robot and immediately goes to throw his life away. And then that's the precise time where Alicia goes, "Guess I'll give up." It hasn't even been 1 day. And she just gave up then. Some friend you are. She better hope doing very little to help him doesn't end up almost destroying the universe and the entire existence of her family somehow. Foreshadowing. Actually, this whole situation is her fault, now that I'm thinking about it. It's almost as if the movie wants us to think this is somehow solely Buzz's fault, even if it isn't. Funny. You see how I'm grasping at straws trying to figure out her character. This is a testament to how badly written this movie is. We are 23 minutes into the movie, and Alicia is only in 8.5 of them. Now, whether you believe it or not, that should still be enough time to establish her character properly. But no. In the first 10 minutes, she's on screen for half that time, and doesn't leave that much of an impression. Also, that was mostly an elongated action set piece, lacking in character moments. Because that's how you should always spend the first 10 minutes of your movie. The second set of 10 minutes focuses on Buzz going into space and finding out 4 years have passed, with Alicia being in the background and consoling him. She's only in 3 of those 10 minutes, by the way. Then the montage lasts 1.5 minutes, and she appears in half of those seconds, with the montage focusing on Buzz exclusively, while Alicia, with jarringly peppy music, stays in the background. This is not a problem with screen time. She definitely has enough. The problem is that screen time that she's in has not been used effectively. It is so obvious what they are trying to do. They're going for the emotional gut punch to increase the audience's investment. They're just doing a rather bad job of it. So in order to fully understand how they went so wrong, let's find an example of this done right. The obvious comparison everyone has already made. Up. Come on, Lightyear, you were asking for it. You did not come here to see me talk about Up. Maybe another day. So I'll keep this brief. Carl's boy who idolized his famous explorer Charles Muntz, and one day he stumbles upon this house where he first meets Ellie, playing make-believe exploring. He loses his balloon, and then Ellie goes out of her way to try to help him, only for... yeah, that. And that night, she goes out of her way to get this boy's balloon back to him. And the both of them bond over both mutually loving Charles Muntz and presumably being social outcasts. And Ellie announces her intention to go to Paradise Falls and makes Carl promise to take her there. Notice how Ellie is, for the most part, the focus of these scenes, not stupid action. Through all of Ellie's dialogue and her actions, we learn things about her. That's how characterization works, Angus. She loves the idea of adventure, of going to Paradise Falls, of being like Charles Muntz. She has an active imagination and turns an abandoned house into her play area, using tons of junk to emulate the controls of a ship. She, despite seeming confrontational at first, is perfectly willing to let Carl join her club. She helps get his balloon back, and when that plan falls through, she finds a way of getting it back to him regardless. Promises made, promises kept. There are even seemingly inconsequential details that inform her character, like the fact she isn't wearing shoes when she could easily get splinters or slivers from walking around barefoot in this house. She ripped a page out of a library book, for goodness sake. She's a bit reckless, adventurous, you might say. She even walked all the way to his house barefoot. And look, and she has the cute little quirk of acting like soda pop cans are merit badges. That actually comes up again later. Callbacks. I hope callbacks in the Lightyear film don't suck. Foreshadowing. I ask you, can you see the difference? By the way, everything I've extracted here transpires over the course of 4 minutes. 4. That's half the time Alicia is on screen before she's dead. And I already know infinitely more about Ellie. That's a wee bit embarrassing. They grow up, get married, and fixer-upper the very house where they first met. Carl goes through the painstaking effort to make sure the house's paint matches Ellie's childhood drawing. You get to see them decide to try to have kids, only for the heartbreaking revelation that Ellie can't have them. You see Carl do his best to lift her spirits by reminding her of the promise he made to take her on an adventure. You don't need words to know how much these two care about each other. It's self-evident. We then see them try to fulfill that childhood promise Carl made, only for life to get in the way again and again. They eventually grow old, but Carl manages to get the tickets for South America as a surprise for Ellie, but then she dies. And after all this time, Carl is sort of just back to where he started. Alone. Living in the house where he first met his wife. Remember when Pixar was able to make good movies? In just 10 minutes, I know everything I need to understand these two. And exactly what Carl is going through. And most of these minutes have no dialogue. Now, who is Alicia Hawthorne? Because I know who Ellie is, so in the same vein, I should be able to know who Alicia is. But I don't. I know nothing about her. Where is she from? What has her life been like? How did she and Buzz meet? Why did they become friends? What even is her personality? That's not conveyed at all very well. What are her likes and dislikes? Why did she become a space ranger? What does she fear? What is her wound, her struggle? Being the best friend of the main character is not sufficient to make me care when she dies. For that to work, I have to care for both Buzz and Alicia. Or at the very least, I have to care about Buzz enough to provoke a sympathetic reaction. But not only is it the case that Alicia is a non-character, Buzz is a stupid and terrible character. So why should I care about any of this? Heck, we don't even know the story of how Alicia met her wife. You'd think you wouldn't forget to put that in if you were going out of your way to advertise this relatively inconsequential aspect of the movie. Oh, by the way, Kiko is even more of a non-character than her wife is. What did you expect? She's only on screen for 12 seconds. No, seriously, she's on screen for 12 seconds. Not just, she's been in the 12 seconds out of everything we've covered. No, 12 seconds total. Gee, how progressive. And because she only appears in that montage, she has no lines. Gee, that's super progressive. At least with Alicia, I have something to work with. Sure, I was grasping at straws, but straws are at least something. With Kiko, she's into science, I guess. She's gay. She raised a kid successfully. And Alicia likes her, I guess. She likes staring into her eyes. Yeah, that's about it. The script kind of treats her like an object. Like, Buzz comes back and Alicia tells him, I got this new thing. I think it's called a fiancé? I never would have discovered if we didn't get stuck here. And then she stares at it and kisses it later on. Gee, that's extremely progressive. And in addition to appearing on screen for 12 seconds, Kiko's name is mentioned twice. Why did you even bother? And in this comparison to Up, there are also structural differences to account for here. Everything in Up is set up to be narratively efficient. The first 10 minutes are spent focusing on Carl and Ellie's relationship and life, and in the end she dies. All this being set up for his arc throughout the rest of the film. Lightyear, on the other hand, spends its first 10 minutes focusing on complete nonsense. Then the next 10 minutes after that, on Buzz going into space and coming back, then the montage happens, then it ends, and Alicia is dead. Now that I think about it, is Kiko dead? I don't think that's ever addressed. When you lay it out like that, this does seem quite amateur, don't you think? Speaking of things that are amateur, dialogue! It's not their strong suit.
You'll be back here in a year or two, and I won't. I don't know when it happened, but I seem to have gone and gotten very old.
So, what was the cause of death? Oh, just old age? And because, as far as we know, these time jumps are always roughly 4 years. That means Buzz definitely knew she was getting old and went on another test flight anyway. And then he was surprised to come back to find she was dead. Buzz, you know what happens to old people, right? You're not this brain dead. You went out of your way. You seriously went out of your way to avoid the last years of your alleged best friend's life. I guess he cares about her just as much as she genuinely cares about him, which is coincidentally identical to how much I care.
I always thought we'd get to be space rangers again. Miss being out among the stars, all the adventures. But more than any of that, I missed you.
You didn't have to let him do this if you didn't want him to. You dunce.
Hi, Grandma.
Hey, sweetheart. I'm leaving a message for my friend Buzz.
The Space Ranger?
That's right. He's in space right now. This is my granddaughter, Izzy.
Wait. They haven't met? Back up. She said Buzz will be back in a year or two. So that means this is recorded a year or two before Buzz arrived. If the jumps are 4 years, that means this is recorded 2 to 3 years after Buzz previously left. How old does Izzy look to you? I'd say she's around 5. So 2 to 3 years after Buzz left means 2 to 3 years before Buzz left was when she was born. Apparently Buzz was so preoccupied with hitting a wall over and over again that he did not know his best friend now had a granddaughter. We've come a long way from him being enthusiastic about meeting her fiancé. Huh? Note how this line is, "This is my granddaughter Izzy," not, "This is my granddaughter Izzy. You remember her." It's this line, just like this, in order to introduce the character to the audience, and not because it makes sense in universe. This is the second time I've asked a specific question. It's not going to be the last.
I'm gonna be a space ranger too.
Are we going to space? I can see stars. That is space.
What is happening right now?
She's afraid of space. What?
Oh, I'm sorry. I have no idea how that ended up here. Anyway.
Goodbye, Buzz. I'm sorry I won't be there to see you finish the mission.
What is the mission exactly? Will this ever be explained? Spoiler alert, the answer is no. No more awful dialogue. Good. Ooh! Look at this photograph! I had to. Wait, why is it down there? How is it not cleaned out with everything else, given it was visible enough for Buzz to see it? You know, physics is hard.
Roughly around here is where the movie used to start. He was in the locker room and then some of this, but like there was no crystal and all that. It was just sort of like a guy. There was no robot there. But at any rate,
There was a version of the movie where Alicia was the person handing him the crystal.
She was the fuel person for a while before she became the
her
commander.
idea to give him the formula that worked. And so in the death message, she had the formula figured out.